Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube. My name is Lola or Lola, and yeah, I hope you've been well. I just got a new phone, so hopefully the camera quality is a lot better than it was before, and I also got a new light as well, so that's really good. So yeah, this topic will be quite different to what I normally do. So I'm going to talk about the Bible, stuff like that, but I just kind of wanted to talk about something else that isn't related to the Bible, but it's still very important, and it is science perfectionism is preventing you from achieving your language learning goals, or just any goal in general, to be honest. But yeah, I feel like specifically language learning, and it is also something I have struggled with myself. So it's not just like I'm giving you advice, it's actually something that I've gone through, and I would say I've overcome completely. I'm learning to overcome it. Kind of like fluctuates in a way. But yeah, I wanted to continue the video right after the introduction. Bye. Hey guys, it's me again. I love this light. This is like my first video with this kind of camera setting, so it's like really nice. But yeah, welcome back. And as I talked before, this video will be about science perfectionism is preventing you from achieving your language learning goals or any other goal you've set out for yourself. And yeah, so let me just give a bit of background. So I'm learning Spanish. I've been learning Spanish since actually 2024. So after my trip to Mexico in June 2024, that's when I started taking it more seriously. And now I'm aiming for C1. C1 speaking is actually really hard, but I've noticed that my writing in January has improved significantly. But since January to now, I can like write C1 level depending on the topic. I can't say every single topic, but even then I know that there's a lot of things that I have to improve on. So yeah, number one, signs that perfectionism is preventing you is number one, you view errors as failure instead of stepping stones. And I think for me, especially as I'm a perfectionist as well, and yeah, you view errors as failure, but errors is not making a mistake, is part of the process. You can't learn a language like Spanish or French or German, whatever language you're learning. Some people are learning multiple languages, but you cannot learn a language flawlessly. And I feel like people think fluency is being flawless, being able to talk about everything, to be a walking dictionary, but that's not what fluency is. Fluency is being able to communicate well in that language. It's not being able to like make mistakes, because mistakes, even in English, sometimes I don't know what I'm saying in English. Like I don't know what I'm saying in English. I use filler words like well in English. So why are you holding yourself to an impossible standard in another language, especially if your native language you're not perfect? For example, in English, like there's a lot of English writers, but even then, even though English is their native language, they still need to get approval from other people. They still need to double check. They still need editors. They still need people. They still need professional editors. They still need people to reread. They still need better readers. Even if English is their first language, they're still not perfect. You get what I mean? So you shouldn't hold yourself to an impossible standard. Errors, making mistakes in language learning, whether it's Spanish, French, German, Polish, Russian, Portuguese, whatever language, is part of the process. It's expected, it's normal. And yeah, instead of like thinking, oh, I'm failed again, I can't be perfect, you should learn from them. You should realize, what did you do wrong? And yeah, and I've noticed that every time I make a mistake in Spanish or whatever language, every time I make a mistake, I remember it later on. It's like at work as well. When I get corrected at work, I actually like remember that. I remember what I did wrong and try not to do it again. So it's not just language learning, but anything else you've learned in life. So yeah, learn from your mistakes. Think to yourself, what could I have done differently? And you try not to make the same mistake again. For example, I used to struggle with I forgot what it's called, like imperfect versus indefinite. Obviously that was really difficult for me, and I kept using it incorrectly, but then I realized, oh, imperfect means this, indefinite means that. So yeah, that's one thing. And I think one thing that helps with this is kind of looking at your own progress. So for example, a year ago when I was in Mexico, my Spanish was terrible. Like it was okay, but it wasn't as good as it was now. I hadn't learned any of the tenses. I hadn't learned like, I know I can recognize every single tense in Spanish, which I'm really proud of. And that's what I love about being a self-taught learner, is that like you can understand the why behind stuff. You can understand, oh, why was this wrong? Why do we use this word and not that word? I'm not saying that like obviously native speakers as well, they can also understand this well. But I feel like even in English, I don't understand. I just speak English. I don't know why this is wrong, why this is right. Or someone asks me, can you explain this to me? I'm like, I don't know, because I've been taught this language since birth, so I don't really know. And that's one thing I love about being a self-taught learner. You get to understand the complexities of the language. And yeah, so look at your progress, look at how far you've come since, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago. Because one thing I've noticed is that when talking about the past, time flies like that. But when you have future goals, it seems to drag on. And that's like the thing that is something I've also struggled with. For example, if someone says, so say someone is fluent in Spanish now, and it's 2025, and it's like, oh, I've learned Spanish in 2023. And they're like, wow, 2 years has gone so quickly. But then if someone was learning Spanish now and they want to be fluent by 2027, it feels like 2027 is such a long way. So instead of looking at the time, why not change it to like, okay, this week I will learn 10 new words. That's something I've done. So I said every 3 days I try and learn at least 7 new words in Spanish and try to use them and try to understand them. So yeah, that's another thing that helps. Instead of looking at like extremely long term, try breaking it down. That's another thing that helps. Errors is not part of failure. Errors is part of the process. And there's a quote I know, the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. I had 5 points, but I don't think I'll be able to mention everything in this video, which is good actually, because then I can break it down and you guys can enjoy. You can binge watch if you want. Yeah. Number two, signs that perfectionism is kind of affecting your language journey or anything else in life is you kind of stay within your comfort zone. So for me personally, a lot of people aim for B2, and that's fine. Even in real life, even in your native language, no one really speaks a C1 level. But for me, B2 Spanish is it's not enough. Especially because I feel like I can go even further. You get what I mean? So I've changed my journey from Spanish to I want to be fluent to from it was originally I want to be fluent, but now it's I want to be able to tackle complex ideas. And I do feel like when you change that mindset, when you change like what your goal is, it can actually kind of affect the way you view the language that you're learning, you view your target language. So yeah, so staying within your comfort zone isn't necessarily a bad thing. For example, if you don't need to know like legal issues in French or German, whatever language you're learning, if you don't need to learn all those nuances, all those difficult topics, that's fine. But for me personally, I'm someone who likes stretching herself. I'm someone who likes challenging herself, because when I master something difficult, I'm going to be so proud of myself for not, like, you get what I mean? I'm going to be so proud of myself for not being able to give up, for not giving up, even though I wanted to at times, even though the journey was difficult. If I have been able to achieve this thing that's so hard for me to achieve, aka C1 Spanish, and I've done it well, I've mastered it, that would then give me the mindset that, oh, if I was able to do this, if I was able to do this difficult thing, then I can tackle it, I can apply it to all other aspects in my life. So one thing I've told myself is, in secondary school, I used to learn French in school, but I forgot everything. So I told myself, when I've learned Spanish, I'm going to learn French, which is even harder. So I used to learn both languages at the same time. I don't know why. Like, I think I got ahead of myself at some point. But yeah, I told myself I'm going to learn Spanish and French at the same time. But I kind of leaned more towards Spanish just because it is a lot, for me, it's a lot easier. But then I also, later down the line, I did realize, maybe I should definitely pick up French again. And yeah, so after Spanish, I'm going to pick up French, which is even harder than Spanish. So that's going to be even bigger challenge. So that's why I have to stay resilient with Spanish, so that when it comes to French, I can be like, if I've learned Spanish, if I stepped out of my comfort zone in Spanish, if I tackle difficult topics, if I didn't think I can make it but still did it anyway, then I can definitely do the same thing for French, which is even harder. So it'll just kind of give me that resilience to tackle something even harder. So yeah, you can staying within your comfort zone. How will you grow as a person? Not just in language learning, but in life. Staying within your comfort zone. For example, if you're B1, if your language in B1 level, but you know you can go higher, why not try it? You'll actually be really rewarding. I'm someone that thinks, I like I said before in a previous video, I appreciate things more when I work hard for them. And yeah, that's just me personally. I'm not saying I take things for granted that, that I have every day. For example, like when I wake up in the morning, I don't take that for granted because I know that wasn't me, that was good. But yeah. And yeah, that's just a really nice mindset to have. So you shouldn't stay within you should try and stretch yourself, it depends on why you're learning the language, but you should definitely try and stretch yourself if you can. I understand sometimes people don't want to go further because, you know, they don't have time or they don't see it necessary, and that's fine. But if you feel like you can stretch yourself in a language, if you feel like you'll B2, if you're B2, but you know you can aim for C1, you just need that patience, you need that resilience, you need to develop that, you know, you need to develop like strength, resilience, patience to tackle C1. Then I say go for it. What are you losing? And trust me, the reward will be so much better. But yeah, and another thing I've learned is just because someone is fluent faster than you doesn't necessarily mean that they're kind of better. Because recently I focused on like depth over speed. I've seen a lot of people that are like, I've learned this language quickly, I've learned this language in 3 months, and I'm like, wow, they're fluent, that's great. But then when I really hear like what they say, when I really hear what they like say in Spanish or whatever language, I'm like, oh yeah, they're fluent, but the words they're saying is quite, I don't know, I wouldn't say basic, just not the level that I'm aiming for. So yeah, I'd rather master a language than, you know, stay somewhere where I'm comfortable, you get what I mean? So yeah, so just because someone has achieved fluency faster than you doesn't necessarily mean they can tackle more depth, because a lot of people can speak another language, but they may not be able to tackle. For example, they can speak casually, they can speak everyday conversations, but then when it comes to like debates or philosophy or global warming or whatever subjects, they struggle. And that's something that I want to achieve as a person. Not like, obviously I'm not going to tackle every single topic in Spanish, because even in English not every single topic interests me. But yeah, I'm just someone that likes aiming deeper. No matter how long it takes me, I'm going to keep going. And yeah, one more sign that perfectionism is preventing you is procrastination. So yeah, obviously everyone procrastinates. I procrastinate in Spanish because I have a full-time job. Like, I'm sorry, but Spanish to me, after my job, after I get home, Spanish to me is just like another chore, and I'm just so tired. And yeah, but you need to, I've learned that the difference between procrastination and fatigue is procrastination is when you have the ability to actually do something but you don't do it, but fatigue is when you're tired and you can't do it. For example, like having a full-time job, obviously learning Spanish on the side is like another chore because you're tired. Your job is demanding, it can be stressful. But yeah, so if you have to ask yourself, why am I procrastinating? Is it because I'm scared? Is it because I'm worried that I won't sound perfect? Honestly, with language learning, people appreciate it more when you try, even if you make mistakes, than not speak at all. Because when you're not speaking, when you're procrastinating, you're limiting yourself. You're not achieving your full potential. And I feel like I should talk more about this in another video, just because it might get a little bit long. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you've learned something. Don't worry, there will be a part 2. And yeah, I just hope that this video has resonated with you. It's been quite nice to talk about this. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.